I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. This video is the second installment of discussions in philosophy, and as I said, it's more of philosophical brainstorming than anything. And I want to get right to the point in this section of the discussion. This section of the discussion has to do with the epistemological status of trust. Right? What is the epistemological status of trust? It isn't so much that I have anything that I necessarily want to present on, as it is I have a question for viewers. Right? If you think about the idea of trust, epistemologically speaking, we recognize that insofar as the individual says that they trust in X, or they trust an individual, or they've come to trust in some precept or some, set of axioms, what have you. The question is, epistemologically speaking, do we then cease to investigate the relationship between that set of principles, right, that ideology, those set of axioms, that set of belief systems in terms of personal trust, and we take it as a given, or we take it for granted? And I don't mean it take it for granted in sort of this colloquial sense. I mean take it for granted specifically. The nature of the acquisition of knowledge ceases once we arrive at trust. And that's the question. It's like, is it the case that our attempt to make sense of our world ceases, epistemologically speaking, once we arrive at trust? Is trust the end state? Right? And the question is a little bit more complex than, that in itself is pretty complex, to be honest with you, right? The idea that, or even the attempt to try and understand or make sense of the question, is trust the end of epistemology, right? Is that where epistemology ends and something else begins, right? But on a deeper level, asking about the nature of trust, we have to ask ourselves, can we make sense of our knowledge if there is a gap missing in our knowledge that we fill with trust? In a sense, you have to trust that I am who I say I am, that I have the credentials that I say I have, that I've read the book that I said I've read. There's a sense in which the knowledge that you gain from me is acquired from me because you filled in that gap in your particular knowledge based on trust in me. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. I might not be who I say I am, right? I might just be a dude from the streets playing games on the internet, right? I might never have read a philosophy book in my life. In a sense, there is a serious threat to epistemology in terms of our relationship to our acquisition of knowledge in terms of trust. And there is a sense in which David Hume has this very interesting sort of philosophical concept. It's called the missing shade of blue. And the 2-second tidy of the missing shade of blue is it possible for us to have a conception of a missing shade of blue? Imagine that we had a spectrum of blue ranging from sky blue to navy blue, and in that spectrum there is a shade that's missing. We attempt to formalize the existence of what that shade of blue might be by looking at all those shades before and all those shades after, and then attempting to conceptually distill what that missing shade of blue might look like, and Hume ultimately says that we can't do it. Now, the question is, how does that relate to this question on trust? Well, the point is, if it's the case that the acquisition of your knowledge comes at the expense of trusting that those who are giving you knowledge in the institution, outside of the institution, on the internet, outside of the internet, wherever you might be, if the acquisition of that knowledge comes by you imparting some of your trust in another individual, then you have to recognize that there is a certain vulnerability, right? There is a certain vulnerability. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. I just want you to recognize that there is a vulnerability in that. I'll let you decide and speak more on the topic. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say. I'm purposefully leaving this really vague because I don't want to direct the discussion in any sense. That's why this is a series in discussions in philosophy. So with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. Thank you. Have a good day.